Hello, good evening, and welcome back. You've heard of Trump derangement syndrome. Well, here comes Brexit derangement syndrome. So, Brexit vote caused middle-aged man to suffer acute mental breakdown. And this was late yesterday evening. It says the man in his 40s was admitted to hospital 3 weeks after the referendum in June 2016 in an acute psychotic state, according to doctors. But this has only been published recently in a medical journal. And they're saying that although this man is in his 40s, you have a load of people in America as concerned about the future of their country and Trump. 2/3 of people say that the future of their country is a main stressor. And then you also have, I think 52% concerned Trump in particular, apparently, but of course you can decide where those polls are taking place. And then in the UK with a fifth of people, particularly young people, being particularly concerned about Brexit. But this is Generation Snowflake after all, so what do you expect there? So let's read on from the London Economic. Brexit caused a middle-aged Remainer to suffer an acute mental breakdown, reveals a new report. Yes. Could you guess that he was a Remainer? Yes, and this is also disconcerting because their main thrust of it seems to be, well, you have this very traumatic time for people, and therefore it shouldn't be causing this much stress for people. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, why is it drummed up to be such a bad thing? Why is this man so concerned about racially aggravated attacks when that isn't the truth? Oh, it's because of rage bait, essentially. It's because media likes to demonize the enemy, and it's the dichotomy between the right and the left, whereby the right thinks the left are ignorant, and the left thinks the right are evil. And that's the primary difference here. So he's being told that the world is full of evil people trying to do harm to ethnic minorities, whereas the other side, the right, or the Brexiteers, are thinking, well, they don't know what's best. And that's very, very different. So, the man in his 40s was admitted to hospital 3 weeks after the Brexit referendum in June 2016 in an acute psychotic state, according to doctors. He was described as confused and very agitated, with disordered thoughts and speech, and was hearing voices in his head. They do go on to say it's essentially schizophrenia, as in he's not one with reality. And it would be easy to say, well, surely that describes all Remainers, that they don't understand, they're not at one with reality if they think that remaining in the EU is easy. But I wouldn't go that far to do an ad hominem attack. So, doctors who treated him said he made a full recovery and was allowed home after 2 weeks. He has had no further episodes up to his last checkup in June. But they warned in the journal BMJ Case Reports that the man's experience illustrates how political events can take a serious toll on mental health. Yes, and it also suggests that a representative democracy isn't working so well, because the idea is that you can get on with your life, you vote every few years and go, cool, they're doing what's in my best interests, instead of having to have politics delve into every aspect of your life, which suggests that your representatives are no longer doing a good job, because now you have to deal with everything. In which case, well, why have the government in the first place? Dr. Mohammed Zia-ul-Haqachu, bloody hell, said people who are already psychologically vulnerable may be particularly at risk in such circumstances. Dr. Kachu, clinical associate professor at Nottingham University's Institute of Mental Health, said the patient was brought into hospital by paramedics in an acute psychotic state 3 weeks after the June 2016 Brexit referendum. He presented as agitated, confused and thought disordered. He had auditory hallucinations, paranoid, referential misidentification and bizarre delusions. His wife explained that since the referendum result, he had found it increasingly difficult to come to terms with the nature of political events around him. He became increasingly worried about racially motivated incidents and found it difficult to sleep, she said. And that's the particular bit, as I say, that they think that Brexiteers are evil, and Brexiteers think Remainers are just ill-informed. And maybe just ill. Dr. Hetru said he was admitted to a psychiatric unit, given a tranquilizer, lorazepam, to calm him down, and described an antipsychotic, olanzapine, for about 3 weeks. He made a full recovery and was discharged home after 2 weeks. He has had no further episodes up to the date of his last checkup in June this year. Yes, that's essentially it. So he is obviously the prime example of somebody who took a very serious toll. However, this has only come out 3 years after the incident in question. So that doesn't mean that he's the only one to have gone through this, of course. And it was because he was discharged and has had no further incidents up until his last checkup that this information has been published. Whereas there could be others who were still having treatment, and therefore they are not published yet, and we might hear about them later. But it's also disconcerting, or I suppose it's a bit of a relief now to know that the Brexit won, but it's disconcerting to think that it would be these kinds of people who would then be in control of the country and the direction the country is taking. So I do not want people this unstable, this easily swayed and dismayed to be running the country if they cannot face any sort of opposition. These are not the kind of leaders I want. And so anybody with that kind of mental state is not fit to run a country. Maybe not even a family, but I just sympathise for his family as far as that's concerned. The other thing to bear in mind is that he was hoping to increase the effect of echo chambers. So, to quote him, "I remember having a desire to see Facebook providing better tools for people in this plight, so I set about designing an algorithm that would connect users' emojis to their own cultural experience." Yes, cultural experience as well. So not just echo chambers for people who think the same, but also he wants multiculturalism and diversity, and he does not want people to assimilate, get to know each other, and reduce tensions. He wants to, funnily enough, have very strong, thick borders that are impenetrable so that people cannot overlap into different cultures. But he's against Brexit, even though that's what he perceives Brexit is about. So the irony there is is easily inferred. So saying that he's very paranoid, and that's essentially the story. So, as I say, we're probably going to see more of this happening, and it's nice then that Brexit's won out, because now we don't have these kinds of people in power in order to decide what is going to be happening. It's also particularly odd that he was living in a place and felt fine. There was nothing wrong. He didn't have any racial incidents, anything like that. Everything was fine. Then he saw that his area voted majority leave and was then terrified. So nothing changed, but just that thought that they voted leave terrified him, which again suggests the demonisation happening from the media just to make everybody who disagrees with them to be an evil person, to be the devil themselves, to be satanic. And that is the most disconcerting thing, that there seems to be an attempt at a civil war within the country by the mainstream media to essentially say, well, yes, these people who disagree with us are evil. They're not ill-informed, they don't have different desires, they don't think what they're doing is best for the country, they are just evil and trying to tear people down on racial grounds. But anyway, that's it for me. But thank you for the suggestion for this story, John. I appreciate that, and I'm happy to look into any other suggestions people give me. I wouldn't have seen this otherwise because it was difficult to find details about this story. So thank you. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do like, comment, share this video around. We're in triple digits now, so hey, we're trying to get to quadruple as soon as possible. And then we can monetize this channel. Not that YouTube would allow it, but anyway. So thank you again, have a good evening, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.